can make insane gold per hour with dungeons in Guild Wars 2. Up to 70 gold per hour, as I mentioned in my recent top 10 gold farms in Guild Wars 2 video. You wanted details on how one can achieve that, and here I am with this video and explain everything you need to know to reach this income. Be sure to watch the entire video as there are a lot of intricacies that are linked together to make it work. But now let's start with the most important statement of the entire video. Speed is essential. What do I mean by this? You might get quite a lot of gold from doing dungeons, yes. But the thing is, to really have high gold per hour, you have to do them really fast. It does not mean you have to play perfect DPS rotations. It's more about minimizing the downtime. So that means fast loading screens, not always going for unnecessary trash mobs, always doing only the thing that is needed to complete the dungeon path. Skipping everything that is not necessary. The footage in the background shows this perfectly. It's from Grimjacke and Left, so all credits to them and COF, the guild that they are with. And they are really good players, yes, but even you as an, let's say, casual player can do dungeons nowadays really fast because the power creep is just insane and skipping thresh mobs is actually not that hard. You just walk by them. Links to all the footage and the YouTube channels and Twitch channels of Grimjacke and Left is in the description below, of course. It has to be said, however, these videos that I show here are even over 2 years old, so the power creep nowadays is even higher. So there are world records that are close to 1 hour for a complete dungeon tour, which is insane. But let's stick with this roughly 1.5 hours for someone that is not completely min-maxing everything. But let's say even if you're a casual player, you can reach numbers from under 2 hours. If you're a little bit slower, 2 to 3 hours, but that's maximum nowadays. So now let's get to the rewards. First, let's start by explaining the dungeon frequenter achievement. So there is an achievement for completing 8 different, very important, different dungeon paths of any of the currently 8 dungeons. That means you can do either the story modes or exploring modes. The only thing that is required is that it's 8 different dungeon paths. And you have to complete them. Doesn't matter if it's on 1 day, if it's over 1 month. Whenever you complete 8 different ones, you get the achievement, which is infinitely repeatable. And then you get 150 Tales of Dungeon Delving. Tales of Dungeon Delving is the dungeon currency. Previously, back in the old days, each dungeon had a different currency. Nowadays, they were all merged into one currency, which is called Tales of Dungeon Delving. Get the same rewards out of it, it's just one overarching currency for all the dungeons. Furthermore, and this is really important, you get 5 gold for completing 8 dungeons. That doesn't sound like that much, because in the end you will reach that number of 25 if you do a complete dungeon tour. Alone from that you will get 15 gold. That is true. But let's go into more details where the whole 110 gold or so on average will come from if you complete all the 25 dungeons. So the income from dungeon is split in 3 major parts. First part is very simple. The dungeon consists of various thresh mobs that you either skip or champions that you kill or just events that you have to complete. Every single one of those will give you loot in between, just like fractals would do. This loot is not to be laughed at because it's somewhat decent if you sell all of the stuff, because you kill so many things so quickly. You actually get a decent number of just random trash that you can sell. And this will in the end result in some extra gold. But of course that's not the most important thing. The second part is the liquid, the raw gold that you get at the end of each path. Each path has a different amount of gold that you can get. You can see the list here. So this number is increased by the previously mentioned dungeon frequenter achievement, because you then have to say every 8 dungeons you get 5 more gold on top of that. So you get actually quite a decent amount of liquid gold by just completing them. It's important to be said that the dungeon frequenter achievement can be completed infinite times, so you could go for 8 different dungeons every time, and then after 8 you do the same 8 again. But you should not do that, because of that every single path of the dungeons gives you a daily reward that is only once a day. And that will be lost if you complete it multiple times. And that will decrease your gold power, of course. So you should do a dungeon tour once a day. So that will be the most income you can get. Now let's get to the most important thing that is not only important but also overlooked, and that's why a lot of people don't understand how you can make a lot of gold with it. Because on top to the liquid gold and the loot that you get, the dungeon currency can be converted into gold. And that's quite easy actually, you just need to craft stuff. So you can see here a list of all the items that you should craft with the dungeon currency and then sell on the TP, and then you make profit. You can see it's actually depending on the item that you sell, obviously, how much gold you can get from Tale of Dungeon Delve. It has to be said that the highest tier items here, like the 4 Fires Power, Ether and stuff, they also require to use some spirit shards and some investment. So it's a little bit harder to get to this number, but even if you go lower, you get items that are exotic trinkets most of the time, and those you can get the recipe by a random drop of the dungeon boss, and then you can craft it consistently and just get 10 silver per dungeon tail, for example, for the replicator. Now you might ask, who buys this? Yes, not a lot of people will buy it, but you can see here that even the replicator, which gives you a profit of 10 silver per tail, is sold somewhat frequently. Not that often, but not a lot of people are doing dungeons, so you don't have any competition there. And yes, you might say, okay, those recipes, they are hard to come by. That's true. But like you said, they are not only stuff that needs to be done with recipes. Some items here don't need the recipe and you can just use the Mystic Forge, and those will also make you profit. And the good thing here is, even if you don't have the recipe yet, if you do those dungeons regularly, let's say every day for a month, you will probably get some recipes during that time, and then you can use all the saved up dungeon currency. If you found this video helpful so far, why not leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on my helpful Guild Wars 2 videos in the future. Now back to loot, shall we? Let's do the calculation together. You can see here an example list of Saurus Embrace Path 1, what you can expect to get. So if you put together the raw gold and the income from the currency and use the average loot that is very nicely sorted on the fast farming community research, be sure to check that out, link is in the description. Here you see a list of all the profits that you can expect from one dungeon path if you clear it the first time this day, and the expected duration from the fast farming community. You can also compare that, of course, to the splits from the really hardcore dungeon runners in the background, and you will see it's not absolutely unbelievable that you can achieve those times. You get around 110 gold for all of the 25 explorable paths. So the important thing here is, don't do the story, it's not necessary and it's not very lucrative to do so. Just explorable paths. 110 gold in the end. So if you are inexperienced and need, let's say, 3 hours, which is, you're really inexperienced, I would say, then you still get almost 37 gold per hour, which is really, really good. If you are fast, like Left, Grimjacke and all the other guys mentioned previously and you see in the background, and you don't even need 90 minutes for the full dungeon tour. And that leads to 70 gold per hour. And like I said, there are even people out there that can do it nowadays even faster than Grimjacke and Left in the video. So let's conclude that dungeons might be outdated in everything except the rewards. So the rewards you could see here in my video, I explained it very detailed, are really good if you know what you're doing and if you liquidize everything that you get. If you like 5-player content like dungeons and fractals, why not give it a try and do your gold farming in dungeons? So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. Let me know in the comments if you found it helpful. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.